You're listening to Season 3, Episode 6 of Vixen, a Black beauty and pop culture podcast. If you enjoy what you hear today, please leave a review anywhere you listen to podcasts. Today's episode is the first episode of our two-part series, The Instagram Baddie Effect. Now, let's start the show. Guys, welcome back to yet another episode of Vixen. Let me start this off by saying thank you so much to everyone who joined me on live last week for the sex tapes and how they affect Black women show. I did that show with my really good friend Erica. She had a blast. She had a really good time. So I definitely want to bring her back for another show. So if you guys want to see her with me again, let me know what you guys want us to talk about, any topics you want us to discuss, and I will be sure to get with her so we can plan it again. It's always a great time talking to y'all on live. We was really on there cutting up. So I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for joining us. And if you missed the live, you can go to my Instagram profile and swipe over to the IGTV section and you can see that live, as well as my book club live from March. By the week that this episode drops, we will be doing another live for our March book for the book club, but I'm not sure what day it is at the time of recording. So I can't announce it on here because I'm not sure yet, but make sure you follow on Instagram so you can see all of the information. I always post the date, the time. I post reminders too. So make sure you follow on Instagram so you don't miss the lives. We be having a good time on there. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for showing up and showing out. Okay. This week's episode is the very first episode of the Instagram Baddie Effect. So this is going to be a two-part series. We're going to have this episode this week, and then I'm going to put the second part out next week. If you follow me on Instagram, then you know we did a poll a few weeks back. I want to say it's been a while. It might have been like 2 months ago, really. Just on the state of Instagram, how we feel about the app, the Black women that shaped it, the trends that Black women started on the app, all of that good stuff. If you remember that poll or if you missed it, no worries. I'm going to share the questions and the answers from that in part 2. But for now, in part 1, let's talk about the origins of the app and just the Instagram baddie as a whole, as well as some of the negative effects of Instagram and just popular Instagram culture and model culture. Let's get right into it. Y'all, I'm going to kick this episode off with an ugly topic, but we can't really talk about Black women on Instagram without mentioning it. So when you look at Instagram, unless you have a very curated explore page like I do, and even still, I still see some of this, you will see white and other non-Black women who look like characters of Black women. Like, let's just be honest, it's just what it is on that app. These women fill their lips with filler, they get multiple surgeries, they tan excessively, they get Black hairstyles, they do God knows what to look like Black women but not really be a Black woman. Y'all know these women, we don't have to name them. Y'all know the family that kind of brought this copying Black women thing into the mainstream, and I'm sure you've seen the countless women that have followed their lead on that. So pre-Instagram, white and other non-Black people often shamed Black people for multiple things. I mean, they still do. Our hair, our nails, our bodies, the way we talk, our accents, tattoos. Everything was just like ghetto, tacky, undesirable. But fast forward to 2016 and beyond, everyone on Instagram, it feels like almost everyone on there is cosplaying as Black. And it's just so weird to me as a Black woman, like to have to look at somebody and be like, am I really looking at a Black person right now? Because sometimes it's like, this could be a white woman. I mean, I'm sure you guys remember the whole blackfishing scandal from a few years ago. Like, that was just one of the main culprits of that. And it pisses me off every time I see it. One of the main culprits that was called out in that blackfishing article, she still is booked and busy today. And still cosplaying. It's crazy, but let me not get off track. All right, what was I saying? Popularization of looking Black but not actually being Black. That is a huge part of what made Black women and our style even more consumable to the masses. And it has robbed actual Black women of many opportunities, as well as the recognition they deserve for breathing life into these trends. The non-Black girls have attempted to water down the originality, the uniqueness of us, and they make things that they once thought was tacky, something to aspire to, and they erase us at the same time. How did we get here? Like, how are we getting to the point that people are doing all of this to look like us and then making money off of those looks? Well, let's talk about it. So Instagram came onto the digital scene in 2010 when I was just a wee 17-year-old, I believe, starting the 12th grade. It was a completely different app from what we know now. And if you were around, you know that. Like, if you know, you know. It was way less people on there, way less pressure. There were way more basic filters. You could only edit your photos inside, like when you were posting the photo, which they still have, and I know no one uses anymore. But yeah, that was it. It was like 10 of them. There was mainly pictures of sunsets and selfies, and it was all about showing off your iPhone photography skills. And we ate this up because the iPhone 4 had just been released that summer, I believe. Now, I don't even know what number iPhone we're on. Like, I feel like I don't even know which one I have. So, for those who don't remember, the iPhone 4 was like the first phone to have a really bomb camera. I mean, obviously today it can't hold up to any camera that are on phones that are on the market right now, but it was that girl back then. So, I believe it kind of had a part in killing the digital camera. What do you guys think? Because remember how everybody used to have a phone and a camera? I was one of those people. I had a digital camera and I would have a phone, but then the iPhone came along and it's like you didn't really need a digital camera, only for special occasions. So, this is when the iPhone really became that girl. So I think Instagram kind of help propel iPhone, and then iPhones help propel Instagram. It's like a mutually beneficial relationship. According to Investopedia's 2020 profile of Instagram, within 2 months, the app had 1 million users. By 2012, Facebook purchased the company for $1 billion in cash and stock. And I remember this being a really big deal, but I didn't realize it happened in 2012. I thought it happened later. But anyway, so as you can see, Instagram grew extremely fast. Lightning fast, and we were just on the app posting our little sunsets, minding our business, and then something starts to shift around 2013. So you start to see that people are gaining substantial followings through Instagram. It was still very small. I remember having 20K was a big deal on Instagram. Like, now that's not so big, but it was a lot back then. Nobody said anything like influencers or even Instagram famous. Nobody used those terms. I think mainly people called them bloggers, but it was noticeable that something was shifting. And even people who were popular on Instagram then, they always had like something else, like a website or a profile somewhere else that they were always trying to direct people to. But now, I mean, and most people still have that today, but a lot of people now, it's just like they're just on Instagram. They are a person on Instagram who's popular, and it kind of like ends there. But back then, even popular people were always trying to shift people elsewhere because Instagram was so new. Nobody knew what it would become. So I would say that this is when Instagram culture was developed, quote unquote Instagram culture. You started seeing things made popular by bloggers be repeated all over the app. I would say the most defining moment here was the rise of the food photos. Like, when people started taking pictures of their food, like, Instagram loved that. That became a big thing on Tumblr too. People started seeing that this helped people gain popularity, so naturally they started to do the same thing. And then fast forward to 2015, 2016, this is also when you start to see a lot of things be curated specifically for Instagram. So you know how there are a lot of interactive spaces that are literally created for nice Instagram photos, like 29 Rooms that Refinery 29 does, or Museum of Ice Cream. We have something here that I haven't been to yet in Atlanta called the Selfie Museum. So this is when those type of places started to come around, and things had kind of shifted from what they used to be, which was like raw, everyday photos of your life, to a more curated, aesthetically pleasing type of photo, if you know what I mean. So that's pretty much the origins of Instagram. So now we can get into the Black women that ran it at the time. The women who stand out the most to me, in my opinion, from this era are Blac Chyna, Amaya Scott, Heather Sanders, Angel Lola Love, Amber Rose, Keisha Dior, who y'all know as Keisha Kayor, but that's Keisha Dior to me, aka Miss Gucci, Miss WAP, I'd love to hear who you guys consider the standouts from this era. But I'm going to share why these specific women stood out to me. So Amber Rose, it was always the buzz cut for me personally, the fashions, the mysteriousness, her elusive attitude. Like, she was really everything. When she dated Kanye, she never spoke, but she just always made a statement. She was so striking, and she was always really, really well dressed. So she just was that girl to me. Heather Sanders was a big standout for me. I wasn't really like into her that much. I didn't follow her, but when I think of this era, she does stand out in my mind because she was very, very heavy on the streetwear, and she always had really, really colorful hair. And you didn't really see a lot of black girls doing that unless they were like, you know, their style was a little bit more alternative. You didn't really see like this kind of black girl like trying all of these colorful hairstyles. So she stands out in my mind. Keisha Dior, pretty much same thing. She was always wearing an outrageous outfit, like a crazy outfit. And she had that like asymmetrical hairstyle with the curls, like the mohawk thing. And I bring that up actually because, so my book club, the Vixen Book Club, we just finished reading Fly Girl by Omar Tyree. And the main character, Tracy, like, the way that they describe her hair, I always think about Keisha Dior's hair at that time, that curly mohawk. That is how I see Tracy in that book wearing her hair. But anyway, also, I forgot to mention India Love. She's not who I specifically think of, but when I asked people who they think of, a lot of people mention her. I think I don't think of her because I was a little old. Like, by the time wasn't old, but like, I just wasn't, her style was like childish to me by the time she like really started to pop. So I think I missed the wave, but I do know that her popularity came from Tumblr. She popularized streetwear with a lot of teens like Obey and things like that. I think Angel Lola Love, who we now know as Lola Monroe, she stands out a lot for me because she was one of the first vixens I've ever seen with an enhanced body. I don't think I had ever like, I don't know. I'm sure I had seen it before, but she was like the first one that I saw that I was like, yeah, that's a fake ass. But it didn't bother me that her ass was fake. Like, I was actually intrigued that her ass was fake. But we're going to talk more about stuff like that later. I was like, how do you, like, who does that? I didn't even think something like that was possible, honestly. So, yeah. And now this one might be a hot take, but I'm willing to die on this hill. You can argue with me if you want. Blac Chyna is the most influential Instagram model there is. She might be one of the most influential people on Instagram, period. I'm gonna let y'all marinate on that for a second. So let's get into it. The bangs, the dimple piercings, the over-exaggerated body enhancements, all of it. And even if you don't like Chyna's look or you didn't like her look then, you can't act like she did not stand out from the rest. She stood out from every single one of her counterparts, every single one of her peers. Who else? Miss Amaya Scott. I love Amaya Scott. She was just a trendsetter in general. Her colorful bundle. She also did like the insane color hair. She's the first person I think I saw with like ombre hair and like that mix of color, the mermaid hair trend where it's like, if it's blue, it's like a bunch of different shades of blue. She was the first person to do that. I don't care what nobody say. She was the first person to do that. Her makeup, her lashes, all of that. I think that the standard Instagram look, which we will get into later on in this episode, I honestly think that was based off of Amaya Scott's face. I think, I don't know. I really think that was based off of her face for real because she fits into that mold perfectly, like just the way she looks, even without makeup. But yeah, she was also the first person. I've said this so many times on Twitter. She is the first person I ever saw wear more than 3 bundles. You know how everybody like the standard for a wig or just for like your hair is 3 bundles and then your closure or your frontal or whatever it is. Even if you get a sew-in, it's like 3 bundles. She was the first person I ever saw put 4 or 5 bundles in her head. And like when I realized she was doing that, I was like, oh my God, like she wild. It's funny because now everybody has like 5, 6, 7 bundles in, but she was the first person I saw put more than 3. So we got to give her flowers. And then also speaking of Amaya, I just want to say that many of the popular looks on Instagram throughout the years were adopted from trans women. Either they were completely lifted from them or they were remixed into something else, but most of it came from trans women. I know some people don't like it, but honestly, if you don't like it, I don't care if you like it. It's the truth. And if you think that that's not true, I want you to go and check history right now, quickly. I'll give you a moment. Go check history and come back and tell me that I'm wrong, because you can't. You won't be able to. But anyway, Black China credits trans women for giving her the inspiration to alter her body in an interview with Andrew Richardson for Richardson Magazine in 2015. And this is that cover she did where she has her signature bangs in black, and I think she's completely nude on the cover. It was like a real cool, like, artistic cover. That's the only time I've ever really seen her do something like that. I really like that cover. But anyway, this is what she said. Through me being close with them, I got the idea. You had to be cool with the trans queens because they wouldn't just give any girl their plug. End quote. So I had to just give trans women their credit real quick, because I really feel, like I said, the popular shit that we see online, a lot of it is based on things that trans women do. A lot of people get tips from trans women, get plugs from trans women. So I definitely want to give the girls their flowers, because I mean, a lot of this stuff, we owe it to them. Once these women and the rest of their counterparts started posting themselves online, particularly on Instagram and Snapchat, they started a frenzy, naturally, as Black women always do. You start to see similar looks pop up everywhere, and okay, let's name them. The China Bang, which Nicki Minaj also had a hand in popularizing. Had to mention that. Y'all know I'm a barb. The clothes, crop tops, bomber jackets, high-waisted jeans, the curly mohawks, the ombre bundles. I would even credit these women with the popularization of wigs. And before y'all try me about that, of course, wigs were popular before Instagram became a thing, but not to that extent. Nowhere near the extent to where they are popular today. Until these women got popular online, I will die on that hill. This is a hill I will definitely die about. And if you disagree, let me say, do you remember the influx of online hair boutiques that popped up after, like, these girls started to take over Instagram? Do you remember how hair boutiques didn't even sell wigs for real? They all only had bundles, and then all of them started to sell wigs. And then look now, like, a lot of hair boutiques don't even sell single bundles no more. Like, a lot of time you got to go on AliExpress or Amazon to get a single bundle. These girls are selling wigs, honey. Wigs. So I just feel like, you know, they helped usher in, like, this phase of wigs and frontals and closures, and that we're all seeing. And if you don't agree, you are wrong. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I really do believe that they did. So let's get into some other trends that were started by these women, both negative and positive. We got to get back into some ugly things. I'm sorry, y'all. One of the biggest effects of Instagram over the years is what some people would call the sudden popularization of plastic surgery. And I say what some people would call it because plastic surgery is not something that just popped up out of nowhere. Like, it's been a trend, it's been common, it's been something that women and men have engaged in for years. And I know it feels like a lot of people are getting it done earlier and earlier, but and I agree, but it's not that accurate, because white families have been gifting their daughters and granddaughters breast implants and nose jobs for their 18th birthdays forever. A lot of people have paid for their kids or their grandkids, you know, plastic surgery. Like, it's a thing in their culture. But I do think it's fair to argue that it has been popularized amongst Black women in the last 10 to 15 years. But I just want to make sure I point out that the plastic surgery industry has been alive and well way before Instagram was even thought of. Now, on the other hand, like I said, it has been popularized amongst Black women in the last 10 to 15 years. And I do think, in my opinion, again, my opinion, we are seeing women get more dramatic surgeries at a younger age. And it's a little disheartening to see that, because I feel like a lot of girls who get them truly don't need them. But plastic surgery, you know, it was once known as, like, kind of an open secret amongst white women, but now it's a trend among Black millennials and Gen Zers. Like, you see girls getting younger and younger getting BBLs and things like that. And, you know, I would just say we're getting more dramatic surgeries, I think, at a younger age. I'm not saying that breast implants aren't dramatic, because they are. They completely change your look, and so does a nose job. But I do think that's a little bit different than having a full BBL or something like that. I don't know. I feel like Black women, we're doing it younger, and we're doing more aggressive things before we have a chance to really let our bodies, like, form how they're gonna form, like, because when I think about how I was shaped when I was 21, at 27 I have like a similar like outline, but I definitely grew into my body, you know what I mean? So it's like we're getting younger and younger getting these things, but we're not giving nature we're not allowing nature to run its course. So here's a figure from a study that Vice did. The number of butt procedures in the US increased by 176% between 2000 and 2012, exploding into a $26 million industry. That is crazy. Another thing about this, we're seeing a lot of women do this just to be popular on Instagram, to get a job at a club or something like that, or not even because they need it, really just because it's the lit thing to do right now, or they think it's going to give them access to something else. And it can in some sense, but it's just also like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, I have mixed feelings on this. Like, I personally feel there's nothing wrong with surgeries, but I really just don't I don't like illegal procedures. I don't think they're worth it at all. I don't think anyone should ever do anything that could potentially harm them to themselves. But I am sympathetic to people who feel like they have to do what they have to do in order to fit into body standards, especially when you have Instagram to look at all day and you're seeing these pictures of women who have certain bodies, and it makes you feel bad about yourself. And I just feel like so many girls are getting surgeries because they think it's the cheat code to a better, more desirable life. And that's because we see it, the benefits of having that body or having that face on Instagram. And it's something that is very hard to escape. It's not like just walking down the street. It's like you scroll your phone, you see this, you see that. You ain't even looking for nothing like that, but you see it and it makes you become overly critical of yourself. But anyway, back to the story here. Speaking of illegal procedures, so the black market is very much alive and well thanks to ass injections. Now, from what I know about the underground surgery market, in the 90s and in most of the 2000s, just like what China said, and she got her first set of ass shots in 2006, trans women were the plug for butt shots. And they often put other women onto it, usually strippers, dancers, sex workers, and women with vanilla jobs too. Like, everybody was getting them, but it was kind of like an open secret thing. Y'all want a black market surgery episode in the future? Let me know, because I think that would be a lot of fun to write. But yeah, let me know if you guys want that. But anyway, most people who get illegal butt shots, very rarely do they get something that looks realistic. I'm sure we've all seen it. In an interview with Richardson, the one I brought up earlier, Blac Chyna literally said, I wanted it to be dramatic. Guys, I guess people feel like if you're gonna do it, go big or go home, because it's like, it's illegal, and it's like, I guess you might as well at that point. Like, I have no idea, but it's just crazy. But just in case y'all want an episode on ass injections, I won't go too deep, but what I will say is basically what ass injections are it's just silicone with a bunch of other mixtures that you might not know. I know sometimes people will put like mineral oil and God knows what else, and then they'll seal it all up with Gorilla Glue or something. It's really just crazy. And just so you know, silicone is not supposed to just glide freely through your body. It ain't supposed to just go wherever it wants to go. So that's why you hear from people who have complications with getting illegal injections, that, it spread, or it went here, and it got infected. So like, I think when you get, and I'm not an expert on this at all, but when you get the breast implants, it stays where it's supposed to stay, the silicone. But when you just get it injected by somebody who's not even a doctor, it really just goes wherever you want it to go. So it's just not, silicone is not supposed to just do what it wants in your body. Okay. Do I make myself clear? It is a no. If you are listening to this and you ever thought about getting something or doing something illegal to get a certain body, I'm telling you right now, this is your sign that it is a absolute no from me, dog. Do not do it. I don't want to hear about you doing it. Don't let me find out you did something, because I'm going to be on your head. So whoever was thinking about doing something the illegal route, this is your sign to not do it. And also, I just want to say, it's not just Instagram models that are doing this. It's a lot of celebrities who have done this too, especially with like the illegal shots. I know Cardi B, Summer Walker, and a couple other people have been pretty candid about the procedures that they've had, both illegal and legal. I just want to make that clear, but let me move on to the next point because I have a lot to say, but I kind of want to save some of it for a future episode that's actually about surgery because that's not my main topic here. It's not just body standards that Instagram has completely changed in the 10 years that they have controlled our lives. It's also, drum roll please, facial standards. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that an app that literally preys on your insecurities would also affect the way you feel about your body and your face at the same time? Who would have thought? So Instagram is behind almost every makeup trend. It's literally the catalyst for most trends that we see. Like back in the day, y'all remember the smoky eye, the thick like block style brows, the full beat, like all of that. We can thank Instagram for that, and I think the Instagram baddies played a very big part in this. Y'all remember the smoky eye, the thick like block style brows, the very, very beat face, the contour, all of that. So we can thank Instagram for that, and I think a lot of the Instagram girls played a big part in this. When I think of that makeup trend, I hate to keep bringing up China, but she's the first person I thought about. Miracle Watts and Lyra Galore used to do this look a lot, and that was like chef's kiss. I absolutely loved that look. I stand for it. Absolutely 100%. But now I'm going into like this very like natural makeup look. Like I like a more glowy, like natural look, which I feel like Instagram is bringing that trend back as well. It's still like a full beat, but like, you know, just more natural looking. Kind of like, I think his name is Kevin Long. It's spelled Luong. I've been seeing that he's been doing a lot of the Instagram girls makeup lately. And he kind of has that look where it's glowy. It looks more like your skin, but better, but it's still a full beat. I think I'm pronouncing his name right, Luong, but I don't know. Do you guys know what I mean? Like, I love that look now, and I feel like Instagram is pushing us back towards that trend being a thing. You're not seeing people do smoky eyes much anymore. I cannot think of the last time I saw somebody do a smoky eye, but you're seeing more your skin, but better type looks. But anyway, also, Instagram models have popularized a few facial procedures, particularly fillers. Fillers are everywhere, y'all. Now, I'm going to say this, and y'all may disagree. This is the one right here. I have never heard of Black women getting fillers, especially those under 35 until Instagram. Like, that one was a lot for me. And if you know me, you know I'm very pro IG model. But this one, I was really, really shocked to see go so mainstream. We know that the white girls have been doing it for years and that they were repopularized by Miss Light Skin Kylie Jenner. But I have seen an influx of Black girls getting them in the last 3 to 5 years, and I'm not really sure what it is. That was one that I was really shocked to see from Black women because I never thought that Black women would be getting fillers. I was like, we don't need that. But, you know, not all Black women look the same. Not all Black women have full lips. So, you know, you do what you do, but that was shocking to me. And just like the Instagram girls get paid from sponsorships for clothes, makeup, waist trainers, and more, which we will talk about in part 2, we are now to the point where they are also promoting cosmetic procedures as well. Like, I've seen Instagram models promote like a surgery or promote a certain surgeon, or get discounted services with a surgeon or with like somebody else who does procedures. I'm not sure what they would be called, you know, to give to their followers. So I want to share with y'all a quote from Dr. Tijon Isho. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, but he is a celebrity plastic surgeon, and this is what he said is going on at his clinic. Lip fillers make up 70% of my daily list, which is a 45% increase over 3 years. I get 150 requests per week, and this has almost doubled in the last 3 years. That is nuts. Like, that's crazy. So most of the things he's doing every day that he works at his clinic is lip fillers. He's doing lip filler all day long, that's nuts to me because that's something that like that's not a surgery that I even grew up knowing about. And like hearing how much it's doubled in the last 3 years, I think it adds up. Like, what do you guys think about that? Do you guys think it makes sense from what you've seen? When you compare those numbers to what you've seen on Instagram, does it add up to you? For me, it does. Because the amount of like lip fillers and lip procedures and just other fillers and random parts of people's faces that I've seen in the last 2 to 3 years, I can absolutely believe that this man is just at his clinic all day giving people lip fillers. Like, absolutely. Although I'm sure all of the Instagram models I listed earlier have gotten facial work done at some point, they're actually not the first people I think about when I think about fillers or any kind of facial procedures. The first people I think about are the Claremont twins. Now, the Claremont twins have done a lot of work to their bodies and faces. Like, we know that, right? It's hard to talk about them and criticize their faces if you use Instagram filters yourself, because honestly, most of the popular Instagram filters that people use look like the Claremont twins. Like, that's just what it is. Some people may be offended by that. If you're offended, I'm sorry. But I do believe, like, when I see people talking about them and they use Instagram filters, I'm like, it's not adding up, love. Like, I don't love what they've done. I loved how they looked on Bad Girls Club. I thought they looked great, but I mean, and I don't love the work that they've done to themselves, but I mean, they look like the Instagram filters that everybody uses, and that's no shade. That's just truth. But anyway, speaking of filters, that is what I wanted to get on. So Instagram and Snapchat filters basically gave birth to the Instagram face. And what I describe, how I describe that face is a straight nose, almond-shaped eyes, very contoured cheeks, pouty lips, clear skin, and very, very perfectly carved brows, like razor sharp. And this is a look that many people strive for, which is crazy because when you think about social media, like, social media was a place for you to find your tribe, find people who were into different things, different stuff, but it's crazy to constantly see people with that same look, whether it's a filter or not. And Instagram's algorithm, which I always talk shit about, if you know me, you know I'm always talking shit about that algorithm. For those who don't know, I work in influencer marketing by day. The algorithm actually makes this shit worse because it's designed to examine popular posts and give similar posts more visibility. So that means that unless you try to really curate your feed and explore page, it's very hard to escape a certain kind of Instagram look. Like, even when you do curate your feed, you will still see some, but it'll be worse if you don't. Like, for example, I try to be very careful of the posts that I like on Instagram. Especially if I'm liking things off of my explore page, because if you like a bunch of like Kim Kardashian lookalikes, even if you like 3 in a row, that will change your entire explore page. So you have to be careful. So I try to like curate what I like, what, you know, who I follow. Like, I try to follow, you know, as many Black women as I possibly can. And that has helped me see more Black women on my explore page. But even when you do that, you still get a couple, like somehow some strays still get on my explore page, and I'll be like, girl, what is this? I think it's because I'm into fashion too, so I will still see some, you know, white people or non-Black people, but it's not as bad as how it used to be. So if you curate it, you can, you know, see less of it, but it's very, very hard to escape a certain Instagram look, because what it does is those posts are so popular, like that the people who have those kinds of faces, the algorithm instantly pushes and propels people who have similar looks. And I've heard that the TikTok algorithm does the same thing. It's called like a pretty privilege algorithm. And so it's pushing that kind of content because it thinks that that is what you want to see. And the only way to really get rid of it is to just overly curate. So overall, like, this just makes it more difficult to discover new things on Instagram and, just other aesthetics and other people that you might be interested in. Like, I am pretty good at like I love to find like small brands on Instagram. But it's not as easy to do it through Instagram's search features. Like, Instagram has search features for you to discover those kinds of things, but you end up constantly seeing the same stuff over and over when you use their search features. So typically when I'm looking for small brands, I'll go to like someone's following or whatever and kind of go through there. There's a couple other things I do that I won't get into, but you know what I mean? I feel like it's kind of hard to use Instagram's actual search results because they're not always accurate, because again, that algorithm is just showing you what it wants to show you as far as what's popular. And it's like, I don't care what's popular. I want to see what I like. But I'm not saying that you can't find independent communities online or on Instagram specifically, but it's just crazy to me that a platform that really should be celebrating diversity and like showcasing the diversity on there, you know, has one look that just dominates the entire app. Like, I think that is truly crazy. I think I see more diversity in looks, especially amongst Black women on Twitter. And Tumblr as well. I don't spend as much time on there as I used to, but I definitely see a variety of women, of Black women, of all different aesthetics, of all different backgrounds on Twitter all the time. You can see like a high fashion girl, you can see an alternative girl, you can see like a bougie girl, a bimbo type girl. Like, that is where I see like the most variety in Black women. But on Instagram, I do have to say, like, it's harder to find those kinds of looks on there. So here's some condensed quotes from a 2016 New York Post article called "The Rise of the Instagram Face and How It's Destroying Us." Social media has increased the pressures to be selfie ready at all times and arguably homogenized our ideals of beauty. Social media is the worst thing that's ever happened to the beauty industry, celebrity makeup artist Patty DuBrow told New York Magazine. Makeup artist Kevin James Bennett agrees, adding that social media perpetuates but one aesthetic. Like I was saying, y'all, it's like looking at a bunch of clones. They're Botoxed, filled, and surgery to look like Kim. I don't really feel like a lot of them are trying to look like Kim. I guess you could say that. Kim's trying to look like a Black woman and then everyone's copying her. So, again, with the quote, 29-year-old London-based makeup artist Gabriella Miguel told the Post, "Nowadays, every girl/woman that sits in my chair absolutely hates themselves, openly talks about it, and asks me to completely change their face for an Instagram face." According to Dr. Ali Saweed, plastic surgeon at the Skin and Follicle Clinic in London, there's been an increase in social media-driven procedures that will augment or enhance social media presence or likes. These include lip fillers, cheek enhancements, and non-surgical rhinoplasties, many of which are signifiers of the Instagram face. They want to look like computer-altered versions of themselves. Lots of my patients bring in images of themselves where filters have been overlaid and say they want to achieve that look that the filter has given them, end quote. You have to remember that pictures that we see on Instagram are so overly curated, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit, that you have to remember you're seeing images that are not realistic, right? You're not seeing this person who's just taking like an iPhone photo, it is a production. I actually saw recently on TikTok, like TikTokers just found out that a lot of like influencers will take mirror selfies, or what looks like mirror selfies, where they're holding their phone up so it looks like they're taking a picture in the mirror, but they're really not. It's like a digital or like a professional camera. And it's like, this is why their selfies look so good. This is why. And it's like, yeah, exactly. And that just goes to show you, like, a lot of shit we see is so curated that we don't even know it. And we're comparing ourselves to something that is just so glamorized that unless we were to commit to that kind of content creation, we're not going to get there. So I think always try to remember that when you're taking photos of yourself or when you see photos of yourself, and don't compare them to somebody who has the resources and a big team to take professional photos every single day. It's easier said than done, but I think if you just try to keep that in the back of your mind, it's easier to not compare yourselves to people on Instagram. Another thing that we have to talk about real quick is the colorism involved within the Black Instagram baddie industry. Now, go take a look at who you follow. Scroll through your Explore page if you have to, but I want everyone to take a second and just think of 5 dark-skinned Instagram models that are not, like, always in a bikini on their page. Like, quickly. Go ahead. Nothing wrong with showing skin. I personally love to show some skin, but I do think the goalpost is a bit different for dark-skinned Instagram girls and light-skinned Instagram girls. I want to get in Fashion Nova's ass about that. I'm going to talk more about them next in the part 2 of this, but what I will say in this one is it's a shame how little dark-skinned women they have on their page. And I remember when they had zilch. I think right now they have like 3 or 4. I don't buy things from them anymore because I didn't really like their response to the protest in last June. So I stopped supporting them. But I I think that for a brand that has really built itself on the backs of Black women, again, let me not go too far because I do have, I will get in their ass next week, but the little love that Black women get on there is so crazy. And from what I've read from multiple sources and multiple interviews with people who work with Fashion Nova Instagram models that they employ, a lot of the ones that are Black are not getting paid. They're literally just getting free clothes, and the other ones are getting paid and getting free clothes. So, I mean, that's just crazy to me, especially, like I said, a brand that is literally only big because of Black women. I mean, it's just truly a shame. I don't have no problem with them as far as like people buying them. I'm not gonna like be like, why are you buying Fashion Nova? Like, if you tell me something, I still have stuff from them because I used to get all of my jeans from there because they were the only ones that fit. But I mean, right now I'm just like, I can't with them right now. I think there's definitely some colorism going on there as far as like pay from brands. I've heard from other brands, from other interviews that a lot of dark skinned Instagram famous people have been paid less than their counterparts from partnerships with the same company. I've heard that they've been asked to do things that other girls weren't asked to do. And we mentioned this a bit in the Buffy the Baddie episode that I did in season 1. I think she was disrespected a lot, and I feel like it was because of her being dark-skinned and thick. Our favorite Instagram legend, Black China, she faced a lot of, backlash after she collaborated with Denicia, I believe is her name. I know she's famous in Cameroon. She collaborated with Denicia on a face cream with Whitenicious, y'all. That is the name of the company. And it was literally a bleaching cream. This is how they tried to market it, and I quote, "An illuminating and brightening cream that lightens without bleaching skin." And no, that's very sus because it's literally a bleaching cream, like I said. And I've seen similar products be promoted on Instagram that I was just like, okay, but like listen, you can give me the flat tummy tea, the waist trainers, but bleaching creams, that is where I draw the line, ma'am. China almost lost me as a fan with that one. Now, I truly could not with that one. And it just shows. And a lot of people say like they see a lot of the Instagram models, like they'll edit their photos to appear lighter, or it seems like they're getting lighter and lighter over time. And it's just like, what is this? But like I said, the algorithm does push forward people of lighter skin tones or people who look racially ambiguous. And I think that could play a part in why. So why do you guys think, like, what do you guys think about that? Do you think that there is a little bit of colorism in that industry? Because when I think of dark-skinned Instagram models, a lot of them are always very oiled up and in bikinis, and you don't really see the other girls do that as much. Even the ones that are sexy, like, it's not extensive like how you see it with other women. So, with dark-skinned women, should I say. But, yeah. I mean, I like to go as far as selling bleaching cream, like, China was out of her mind with that one. But I digress because we're going to talk about all of those products, the flat tummy tea, all of the products that are peddled by Instagram models. We're going to talk about that in part 2. So I'm going to end the episode with this. I don't think that everything we talked about today is specifically the fault of Instagram models, and I hope that I've made that clear. I do think that people who have platforms on any social media have a certain responsibility to their audience. Absolutely. You have the responsibility to disclose things and not to sell them things that could potentially harm them. And you shouldn't peddle things that you've never used yourself. So it's not really their fault completely why things are the way they are, because most of them are doing this to support themselves because of the monetization of Instagram, which we will talk about in part 2 as well. But I'm not really sure whose fault it is. I guess it's a little bit of the Instagram model or the Instagram famous person. The brands also have a responsibility, the brands that hire them. The executives who make the Instagram algorithm play a big part in it. So I just want to know, like, what do you guys think? Like, when you think of Instagram and the negativity that has come out of it and the way that it's completely altered trends and the way people see themselves in a very short amount of time. It's only been around for like 10 years. Like, what do you guys think about it? Whose fault is it? Who do you blame it on? Like, how do you feel? Do you think it's just us as people? Because it's like, it's only showing us what, people want to see. So is it our fault as a society why things are the way they are? what is it? I mean, people have compared themselves to people on TV and magazines and books and on the internet forever. But what I think specifically is different about the Instagram baddie era is that we're not only comparing ourselves to celebrities, which used to seem, unattainable. We're now comparing ourselves to people who seem like regular people, Instagram models and, Instagram famous people who technically are regular people. And we're thinking of that as being more quote unquote real than admiring a celebrity, when technically it's not. It's still a very curated experience, like I was saying earlier, from the clothes, the makeup, the setting of the photo, the background, everything is thought of. But because it's not an A-list celebrity, our brain categorize it as something more real and something that we can easily attain or strive to, when it's just not the case. I try to remember at all times is that I'm seeing extremely curated content online. Everything I see is very curated. And that comes from even people that you know in real life. Everybody's content on Instagram is extremely curated. Even people who don't even work in marketing or social media. It's people who are doctors or accountants that have extremely aesthetically pleasing Instagrams, because that's a normal thing to do these days. So it's easier to get those kinds of thoughts out of your mind when you realize that you are literally being catered to and people are literally trying to provide you something pleasing to the eye, like a photo that is very pleasing to the eye. And, we're seeing people be validated from this, something that seems relatively real, and that makes us think that this is normal when it's not, and this can be very, very harmful. So I just want people to keep that in mind. So I'm a person that takes in a lot of content. Like I said earlier, I work in marketing. A lot of what I do is involving influencers. I also do a lot of advertising and creating ads and different things like that. And then I have Vixen, I do the podcast, and I run the Instagram page and I run the book club. So I take in a lot of content every single day. So a lot of times, just being on Instagram for my personal pleasure can feel like overload to me. So I tend to, especially lately, because the podcast is on season, so I'm writing a lot and reading and researching a lot right now. I take breaks from Instagram, where I may not, post anything for a month or two. I may not post on my story for a week or so, and then I'll come out of nowhere and post when I feel like it. But I think for me, I just try to use social media as just entertainment, and I try to leave social media on social media. And I feel like I'm not explaining that right, but what I do is I just try to remember in my head that everything I'm seeing, like I said, is very curated, and that this is not real life. And I just try to get off and go live my real life and not let it consume me. And a big part of that is staying busy with other things. So I'm busy with work. I'm busy writing episodes for you guys, planning content for you guys. So I don't get to spend a lot of time on Instagram for my personal pleasure. And I think that that's really helped me not be affected by certain things on there, because I'm shit, I live in the real world. I got stuff to do. I can't be looking at this shit, so that's how I'm thinking. And I think it helps me a lot not be so consumed by social media. So I think just try to train your brain. If you feel like you're having a problem with Instagram, or you're comparing yourselves to Instagram girls and stuff, just try to train your brain to realize that this is all smoke and mirrors. Some people are really they have great lifestyles, and there's nothing wrong with, striving to have a certain lifestyle. But remember that Instagram, everyone is putting their best foot forward, no matter who they are. Even people with millions, even Diddy is putting his best foot forward on social media. So please, y'all, try to remember that. Try to realize, you can make your own life beautiful, the way your life is today. It doesn't mean you don't have to strive for more or strive for better or more money or whatever it is you want, but you can make your own life aesthetically pleasing. The life you have right now can be aesthetically pleasing and beautiful and great and enjoyable, but do not let yourself be consumed in all of this, because it's not real. And I'm going to get off my soapbox with that. I want to share one last quote from that article from the New York Post, because it kind of sums up what I just said. Here it is. Pre-social media, people were concerned that beauty ideals were being warped by the distribution of curated images, i.e. models and actresses, via mass media. The argument was that if women could see images of other regular women, it would solve this problem, Dr. Pamela Rutledge told the Post. Now, of course, there are many more images of real people on the internet than supermodels, yet the concerns over body image remain the same. Thus, we are forced to ask questions about our inherent lack of self-confidence, particularly when it comes to self-presentation. End quote. So that's basically what I was saying. Like, we're seeing regular people on social media more than we're seeing supermodels and famous people, and it used to be the opposite. Like, you looked at magazines, you looked at TV, and that's where you saw like people. But now you can just scroll on Instagram and see an absolute stranger that has an extremely glamorous life and look and everything. So it is, our brains are telling us that this is real and that this is how we should look, or we're not doing social media right. And I just want y'all to remember that that is not true. As much as I love the Instagram models and all of the dolls on Instagram, and I have used them for inspiration for like hair and makeup and things like that, I just try to remember, like I said, that everything is not real. So if I see one of them post a $50,000 shopping spree or whatever they have, I just remember, like, listen, that is their lifestyle. Some of that could be embellished, and what's for me is for me, period. What's for me is always going to be for me. So I use the app as inspiration, not comparison, if you can. And if you need to separate the two or just stay off of it for a couple of days to like wean yourself off of it, then you do what you have to do. Okay, y'all, so that is part 1 of the Instagram Baddie effect. I know it feels like we kind of just dragged the girls all episode, but hey, we had to talk about things like this because it is a part of the story. It's just a part of the story. We cannot talk about them and praise them and give the girls their flowers and give the girls their credit without talking about the negative side of things. So I wanted to make sure that I made that very clear, that I'm not glamorizing Instagram culture in any kind of way, and that I recognize and understand what, how images you see can affect you and affect how you feel about yourself and your self-worth. So we had to talk about that. I know this one might have been a little bit of a hard one to get through, but thank you guys for riding with me. Thank you guys for listening. Next week on part 2, I'm going to talk about the monetization of the app, the hand that Black women played in that, and just how everyone just kind of followed our lead on making money from Instagram. And we will get into a little bit of, the way that Black women have been exploited on Instagram. But I think the hardest part is over. We've talked about the colorism. We've talked about, the body image. We've talked about the face, the Instagram face, all of that. We got that out the way. So next week, we're going to get into the monetization of it all. So thank you guys so much for listening, and I will see y'all next week. Bye. Thank you for listening to Vixen. If you liked today's episode, don't forget to leave a review. If you have a submission, feel free to email VIXENPODCAST@gmail.com. We'll be back next week with an all-new episode.